Hello, my name is Thomas Jefferson. Thank you for joining me today. The old place looks remarkably the same as when I was president except for the two flags behind me. Although our country has expanded its borders much farther than the Louisiana Purchase, we have lost our way in a wilderness that has been described to me as something called socialism. You have let the founding fathers and our country's principles expire into tyranny. An elective despotism was not the government we fought for. The natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. I could never have imagined that we would descend into the current state of affairs that I now see in what is left of my country. Most bad government has grown out of too much government. I see no good government in Washington. Mr. Washington would never have condoned the use of his name on this city if he knew what it would become, a den of thieves. I said that the two enemies of the people are criminals and government, so let us tie the government down with the chains of the Constitution, so that it will not become the legalized version of the first. I now see that this statement was prophetic, and unfortunately the government has become the enemy of the people. It is clear to me that the Constitution is now chained by an out-of-control judicial branch and repudiation of what we fought so hard to establish. We did not fight to establish a balance of powers that would be overthrown by a shadow government of ours that would replace Congress. I predicted future happiness for Americans if they prevented the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. To take from one because it is thought that his own industry and that of his fathers has acquired too much in order to spare to others who, or whose fathers, have not exercised equal industry and skill, is to violate arbitrarily the first principle of association, that is the guarantee to everyone of the free exercise of his industry and the fruits acquired by it. I have never been able to conceive how any rational being could propose happiness to himself from the exercise of power over others. Liberty is the great parent of science and of virtue, and a nation will be great in both in proportion as it is free. You have sacrificed your liberty for an implied security that does not exist. A society that will trade a little liberty for a little order will lose both, and deserve neither. Liberty cannot be parsed into small bites. You either understand and enjoy it, or you have lost it. When the people fear their government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. It is with deep regret that I see people in fear of their government today. The transgressions in the name of security would never have been accepted by my fellow founding fathers. What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance? I see very little spirit in our nation. The American spirit must be rekindled in order to give your children the future that we sacrificed to give you. Who is more responsible? A tyrannical government or an apathetic people? When wrongs are pressed, because it is believed they will be born, resistance becomes morality. I fear that morality has become lost to posterity and replaced by immorality. I would not have believed that our churches would submit to control by the government instead of our Lord. Were we directed from Washington when to sow and when to reap, we should soon want bread. I could never have imagined that the American people would allow themselves to be subjected to a government that is so far removed from the principles outlined in my Declaration of Independence. The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is, as a last resort, to protect themselves against tyranny in government. You are now reaping the unintended consequences of allowing the government to infringe on your right to bear arms. The standing armies of the government were never meant to be larger or more powerful than the state militias. You have lost one of the best defenses for freedom that we gave you. Laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. The policy of the American government is to leave their citizens free, neither restraining nor aiding them in their pursuits. Or I should now use the past tense, since you now implicitly believe that you cannot do anything without government intervention. It is up to you to decide your future. I understand that some representatives will be attending classes in the Constitution. How the very basis for the best system of government that the world has ever witnessed could be treated so lightly as to become irrelevant in your daily lives, and government is a testimony to your decline. I receive pleasure in only one aspect of what I see today. Alexander Hamilton's economic policies accomplished exactly what I predicted. I, however, placed economy among the first and most important Republican virtues, and public debt as the greatest of the dangers to be feared. There is no excuse that would account for the reckless spending and debt that this country has placed on its people. I want to thank NC Freedom for the opportunity to address you today.